OpenAI CEO Sam Altman made a bold demand in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on Tuesday for it to regulate the very industry that his company is at the forefront of.
I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong, and we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening.
Altman's testimony included his thoughts about the dangers of artificial intelligence and warnings that tools like ChatGPT developed by OpenAI had the power to destroy jobs, even if the hope was it would create new ones. Altman went as far as to recommend lawmakers create a separate agency to regulate AI. Compared to the congressional hearings for Facebook and TikTok in the past, this time it was surprisingly cordial, likely burdened by the fact that Altman shared a dinner with around 60 lawmakers the evening before, where he reportedly gave them a demonstration of ChatGPT's capabilities.
Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I may not understand the...
Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
Despite the intense spotlight centered on Altman, his hearing wasn't the only one happening that day. In fact, just 3 floors up, in the same building, another AI hearing was being held by the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs at the exact same time, featuring speakers such as U.S. Governmental Affairs data scientist Taka Agai, Stanford law professor Daniel Ho, University of Tennessee AI researcher Lynn Parker, and journalist Jacob Siegel, and it was arguably more important. It got 1/100th of the attention, said Brown University director of the Center for Tech Responsibility. It was looking at all the ways in which AI is being used across the board to actually impact our lives in ways which have been going on for years and that people still aren't talking about. That sounds pretty important, but people remain hyper-fixated on the Altmans and OpenAIs of the world. The entire world seems to be completely zeroed in solely on generative AI or machine learning systems that can create content when prompted. And in doing so, we might be missing out on the actual dangers of AI and opening ourselves up to a lot of harm in the process. OpenAI released ChatGPT in November 2022, generative AI has dominated the headlines and discourse surrounding all things machine learning. It's created a whirlwind of hype and lofty promises, which is incredibly attractive to company executives and investors, but could be detrimental to its workers. We've already seen instances of this playing out. Media companies like Insider and BuzzFeed announced they would be employing large language models to help write content, before laying off swaths of their workforce. The Writers Guild of America went on strike in April, partly due to the disputes with the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers regarding the use of AI in the writing process. Scores of businesses have already begun using large language models and image generators to replace copywriters and graphic designers for their businesses. In reality though, generative AIs might actually be quite limited in what they can accomplish, despite what Altman and other companies might have to say. According to Brown University's director of the Center for Tech Responsibility, my worry is that with these systems that are powerful at completing words or pictures for us, we'll feel like we can replace human creativity and ingenuity. The concern is that employees will be drawn in by the allure of cutting costs with AI, and if they aren't, then companies might feel pressure from shareholders and competitors. Then you get this rush to the bottom to try and do cost savings. He's almost certain that there'll be this rush, and then a reaction where people realize that it doesn't work very well and that they've made a mistake. Emily Bender, a professor of linguistics, largely agrees. The thing about hype is that it generates a sense of FOMO. If everybody else is on board with this magic thinking machine, then I have to figure out how to use it, right? This is what makes Altman's time on the Hill particularly eyebrow-raising to many AI experts. Not only did Altman get an incredible amount of media coverage from his testimony, but he also spent the evening before wining and dining with the very same lawmakers that he was about to appear in front of. He made an astonishingly and frightening statement about the power of AI, and more specifically, his company's technology. Meanwhile, lawmakers welcomed his recommendation with open arms and ears. During the hearing, Senator John Kennedy implored Altman, "This is your chance, folks, to tell us how to get it right. Please use it, talk in plain English, and tell us what rules to implement." Bender didn't mince her words when describing her reaction to the hearing. "It's marketing," she said. "When you have people like Sam Altman saying, 'Oh no, what we built is so powerful, you better regulate it,' or the people who've signed the AI pause letter saying, 'This stuff is so powerful, we've got to stop it for a while,' this is also marketing." While Altman has said he welcomes regulation to rein in generative AI, the company's refusal to be more transparent about the dataset used to train ChatGPT and shutting down requests to open up access for third-party apps to use its API suggests OpenAI isn't as warm to regulation as it claims.
I'm curious, if we stay on the same GPT 2 to 3 to 4 trajectory for 5 and 6,
How many of you would like us to open source GPT-6 the day we finish training it? Wow. Well, we're not going to do that, but that's interesting data.
His company is the one that put it out there, Brown University director of the Center for Tech Responsibility said. He doesn't get to opine on the dangers of AI. Let's not pretend that he's the person we should be listening to on how to regulate it. Meanwhile, Congress and the rest of the world have paid much less attention to other forms of AI that have already actively harmed people for years. As an expert noted, it's the tools used to decide if someone's committing fraud when asking for benefits, whether someone should be put in jail prior to their hearing, whether your resume should let you go on to the next stage of the interview, whether you should get a particular medical treatment. All of this is using AI right now. Altman may not be serious in his call for more regulation over AI, but he's not wrong, and there are already things that lawmakers can do. The blueprint for the AI Bill of Rights provides a set of guidelines for how machine learning algorithms can be safely deployed to best protect the data and privacy of everyday people. While the framework has yet to gain purchase in Congress, states like California are already pushing bills inspired by it. And while Altman's suggestion to create a separate agency dedicated to AI regulation isn't necessarily a bad idea, Bender noted that the existing governing bodies already have the power to regulate companies behind these AI technologies. In fact, the Federal Trade Commission, Department of Justice, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission released a joint statement last month stating that there was no AI exemption and that the FTC will vigorously enforce the law to combat unfair or deceptive practices or unfair methods of competition. However, according to Emily Bender, resist the urge to be impressed. These things are impressive, especially at first blush, but it's important because the people building it are trying to sell you something. Bender expands on this. Creating a separate governing body for this technology would be a move towards misdirection. It sounded like Altman was advocating for a separate regulatory agency that will be concerned with AI, separate from what his technology is actually being used to do in the real world. It feels like a move towards effectively denying jurisdiction of existing laws and agencies. What do you think about generative AI, Sam Altman, and the hearing? Do you have any ideas for what I should cover next? Then leave it in a comment below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe. I'm currently working on 2 new ones. One about the startup venture capital firm that took the industry by storm and today has the most asset under management of any venture capital firm. This was largely done through clever PR and the almost never mentioned third co-founder. The second one about the first investment bank to go public and how it reshaped the entire financial industry.